real pleasure to be hosting Joshua, who's the CEO of KCB. We were doing some investor relations work, and we visited in New York, went to see GE, which I think you've now got a partnership with, if I'm not mistaken. And late one night, because Martin used to go to bed quite early, and late one night, Joshua and I had stayed up, and we were having a couple of drinks, and I said to Joshua, Joshua, you're going to be the CEO of the bank. And he said to me, are you sure? I said, yes. And from that day, I was really convinced of it. And when he got his appointment, I was so glad, because I'd spent time with him and I knew he knew what he was doing, down to the basis point. If you ask Joshua about anything, you know, lots of CEOs won't have that handle on the detail. You know, this moves 2 basis points, this will move 8, this business can move much more. And it was really intriguing for me as a banker to hear somebody who had this handle on absolutely everything. And even when we met earlier this week, I reminded him of the things he'd said in these meetings. And I asked Joshua, I said, Joshua, you know, what was that, the products? You said I'm going to sell 2 products per customer, and I think you're now at 3.
Correct.
Yeah. And Joshua said many things, but the thing I like best is he says, where others see challenges, I see opportunities. And you know, that's a way of thinking, I think, that defines success or failure, in my view. We're in this extraordinary opportunity right now. When we are playing catch up, when it's happening, of course, it's not going to be linear. It's never going to be straight. There'll be bumps up and down. But we know what direction we're going in, and that direction is forward. Bob, thank you.
So, hey, this is a fancy iPad. Just now, when he just showed that photo, when we just said to me, the photo of Joshua and I, and she says, that's when you fell in love. And I said, actually, it's before that. I have to confess a bit of a conflict of interest here, because Joshua is amongst what I would call a very small circle of very close friends, 3 of whom are in this room today. So Joshua knows he's one. I wonder if the other 2 might want to have a guess who they are. And why, you know, my grandmother always used to say to me, choose your friends carefully. And why do I choose Joshua as a friend and now a collaborator? Because he represents to me, you know, that hope for Africa. He represents what is my definition of a 21st century leader. He has vision, he has extraordinary passion, and he knows what business is about. And that's why we work so closely with KCB. Because, and he will talk, I hope, a little bit about this. I don't know what he's going to talk about. But, you know, as a modern leader, I would say that Joshua is the CEO in Kenya that I admire most. I don't say he's amongst the CEOs that I admire most. I'd say he is the CEO that I admire the most. And that is because of the vision, because of the passion, because, you know, he's a little bit young. I think he's the youngest. I think, Joshua, you're the youngest CEO for a bank in East Africa, which is no mean achievement. And as a Kenyan, you know, you should all be proud of him. But despite being young, someone accosted me earlier today. I'm looking for her now, and just said to me that Jeff Koinange was right. Jeff Koinange is right. You do need a stylist. However, I also discovered a little secret about Joshua, and that is, despite being the youngest CEO in town, he actually doesn't own a pair of jeans. So with that, I want to hand you over to Joshua Garrett, my friend and collaborator. Joshua.
I was here more than a year ago, and I remember that time, I think it was just a journalist asked me a question and said, how do they appoint a young man who does not understand the bank to run the institution? I didn't have an answer for him, because I don't think it was the right question. And I'm not intending to answer that question myself, but I think the vision we have this moment is a vision of running very solid to run towards one race, a race of transforming our country, transforming our region, transforming the continent. And that can only happen today through a partnership. The idea about the singular monolithic monologue that talks about me alone cannot drive the agenda for our nation. And so my challenge to you this morning is a little bit to start. Let me just start somewhere. All of us start here. We start somewhere personal. We start somewhere. What is it? And I've been able to travel part of the world and part of Africa today. And everywhere you go, whether it's the young kids in school I speak to, whether it's guys who are graduating from PhDs from Harvard or Stanford, it's the same. They're looking for one common purpose. How do I have fun? How do I get happy? How do I get my life moving? And therefore, you're going to have a conviction about your belief. You're going to have a passion. You're going to be able to believe in the power of vision. Many times we walk without vision. It's very biblical. Whether you're a Christian, you're a Hindu, you're a Muslim, we have no vision, we have no purpose, we're just walking. So if the wind moves west, we move west. We should be trying to move east as the wind moves west. And I have come to believe that if you have a fully encompassing vision for yourself, nothing, absolutely nothing can get the way of achieving your vision. You're going to believe that. Because many times you're looking, and I don't see Sam here, Sam is my managing director, he always challenges me and say, in Africa, the challenge is one. We can explain everything, including death. Everything. In fact, this guy died. You see a guy who is slim like me, say this guy is sick, You see a guy who is big enough, he says he eats too much. This guy died yesterday. Why did he die? Some other guy, a family member, looked at him badly. In Africa, we can explain death. And I'm sure a lot of you give reasons. You're going to ignore your naysayers if you want to make a mark, a contribution for you. To achieve that, in my view, that I can tell you a quote, which I've always lived with, that the only thing that stands between you and your dream is the will to try and the belief that it's actually possible. I challenge you to try that in your life going forward. Many times we are always wondering, someone else is responsible. No one will deliver a holiday for you. No one is going to deliver for you that package you're looking for, an education. We start from the same epicenter. And as I travel, I see a lot of the ones that chase their dream and vision achieve the results of what we want.